Hi everyone, welcome to a new video of Steering Mariners. This video is about practicing your knowledge of the rules of the road using the rule of the road cards. And this video is part 28 in the series. I have previously made 27 videos using different ROR cards or rule of the road cards, and this video adds to that series, so make sure that you watch all the videos and practice all the cards before you go for your oral examination. In this video, I will take up a set of 9 new cards and continuing to explain to you that if you are shown any of these cards in the oral examination, how should you go about identifying each. For your reference and to make it easy for you to practice, I have provided the answer as written on the back of the cards next to it. You don't have to look at the answer initially, just focus on the card on your left hand side and think about how you would recognize the card if it's shown to you. So as soon as we see a red over a green light, that should tell us that this is a sailing vessel. So red over green is a sailing vessel. So this is a sailing vessel, and the only other light other than the red over green is a white light which is at a lower level from the red over green. So whenever you see a white light which is at a lower level, you should tell you that this is a stern light. It cannot be a mast light, so it has to be a stern light. So if it's a stern light, then you are viewing this vessel or you're looking at this vessel from the astern. So this is a sailing vessel, and which is probably 20 meters or more, which is underway, and you are seeing it from astern. When you see this vessel, you will sound one short blast and alter course to starboard. You don't require any day signal for this vessel. The fog signal of this vessel is one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. The next card that we see, and again don't look at the answer, just look at the card, and I'm just telling you what I would do if I was shown this card. So when you have three green lights in a triangular format, in a triangular shape, that should immediately tell you it's a mine clearance vessel. Alright, so three green lights in a triangular format is a mine clearance vessel. Now you don't see any side lights, so you have no idea about any other operation that the mine clearance vessel is undergoing. You don't know any safe side or obstruction side or anything else. What you see is only another white light which is at a lower level in comparison to the green lights. And similar to the previous card, if you see a white light which is at a lower level than the masthead lights or the lights displayed at the mast, then it has to be a stern light. It is a stern light and you are viewing this vessel from the astern. So as soon as you see this card, it has to be a mine clearance vessel that is underway, seen from astern, or it could also be a mine clearance vessel which is less than 50 meters at anchor. However, if you don't remember the other option of being less than 50 meters at anchor, then even if you say it's a mine clearance vessel seen from astern, that should be good enough. When you see this vessel, you will sound one short blast and alter course to starboard, and with mine clearance vessels you always pass more than 1000 meters. Now for those of you who may be thinking why is it a vessel that is less than 50 meters at anchor, so remember that a vessel displays two anchor lights when it is more than 100 meters. Alright, so if it is displaying only one light, it has to be less than 50 meters. However, in this case, this could be a bit of a doubt here because the you can see the profile of the masthead light may be confusing to you because one has to be lower and the other has to be higher. So normally the forward masthead light is higher than the aft masthead light in case of an anchor. Now when it is less than 50 meters, so that is why I said if you don't remember the other option, don't worry about it. Just focus on calling it a mine clearance vessel being viewed from the astern. Every mine clearance vessel has a day signal which is 3 balls, one at the foremast head, one at each end of the foreyard. If it is in anchor or if it is at anchor, then you will also display a ball like any other vessel which is at anchor, and you display that ball in the forward part of the vessel. and the fog signal of this vessel is one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. The next card is displaying a red, white and red in a vertical line, which should tell you that this is a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. Now because I don't see any other lights, I will not probably mention anything else. Now here of course the card says it's a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, or it could be a dredger without obstruction less than 50 meters at anchor. Alright, now I leave it up to you whether you can remember all that or not. For me, if I was going for orals, I would just say this is a vessel restricted in ability to maneuver. I don't see any other sights other than a white light which is displayed at a much lower level. So this could be a vessel restricted in ability to maneuver. However, it's underway, it's making way as seen from a stern, because I can see the stern light. If I see this vessel, now what it says here is you will sound two short blasts and alter course to port. However, for me, you can sound two short blasts and also alter course to starboard, because if it's a vessel restricted in ability to maneuver, you as the power driven vessel have the option, or rather you have the duty of keeping clear of this vessel. So I know that many times in cards it asks you to alter to port. Sometimes it could be because of an obstruction which is there on the starboard side. In this case, however, I don't have any clues on where the obstruction lies. So to be safe, I will say that I will alter course to starboard. However, the card recommends you alter course to port. Now a vessel restricted in ability to maneuver will show a ball, diamond ball in a vertical line, and if it is at anchor, also a ball in the forward part. Now for me, if I cannot remember the dredger uh, without obstruction which is less than 50 meters at anchor, for me I will just focus on whatever I can decipher from the lights that I see. In this case, I see a vessel restricted ability to maneuver, and that's what I'll mention. If I can remember the dredger without obstruction, then I'll mention it. Otherwise, I don't think a surveyor will fail you because you didn't mention the other obstruction. The main thing is you recognize the vessel and you took action to keep clear. Then we have another card here which is showing three triangular green lights, which we have discussed before, that whenever you see three triangular green lights, or rather three green lights in a triangular format, it has to be a mine clearance vessel. But in this case you can see other lights as well. What you can also see is a green and a red light at the lower level. So green and a red light, when you can see both the green and red light, those are side lights. So that means you can see the vessel end on. Now in this case, that gives me a hint. If I am seeing this vessel end on, that means the white light which is right below the triangular green lights cannot be a stern light. So it has to be a masthead light. And if it is a masthead light and I can see only one masthead light, that tells me that this vessel is less than 50 meters in length. Alright, so in this case, of course, I can decipher all this from the lights that I see. Now when you see this vessel, you will sound one short blast, alter course to starboard and pass more than 1000 meters. So I have already told you that with mine clearance vessels, we tend to pass more than 1000 meters at least. And in this case, of course, because you are head on, according to rule 14, you will alter course to starboard, make a broad alteration. Then this vessel will display three balls, one at foremast head and one at each end of the foreyard, to indicate that this is a mine clearance vessel during the day. In fog or restricted visibility, this vessel will sound one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. Then we have another vessel here, and I again urge you not to look at the card on the right side. What you have to see is basically based on the lights that you see, start saying things which is purely based on the lights. So these, you can see two crescent shaped moons, so that tells you that this is a engaged in pair trawling. Alright, also the green over white light is a light displayed by a trawler. So when there are two sets of green over white light and two crescent shaped moons, then definitely it's engaged in pair trawling. There are two trawlers available. Also that there is a white light at the top, so which is a masthead light. So each vessel will probably be 50 meters or more, which is engaged in pair trawling. Now we see two red lights. So we see two red lights in a vertical line and two sets of two red lights. So that tells us that the nets are fast upon an obstruction. Alright, because I don't see any side lights or anything like that, I will say it's probably stopped or at anchor. And it is of course being seen end on because I can see the masthead lights as well. If I see a vessel like that or two vessels engaged in pair trolling, I will sound one short blast, alter course to starboard, because as a power driven vessel, it is my duty to keep clear of any kind of fishing vessel or trolling vessel. These vessels when pair trolling during the day will show two cones with apexes together in a vertical line. So that is two triangular shapes with their apexes together. And they will also display flag tango, because tango or the letter T stands for vessels engaged in pair trawling as per the International Code of Signals. Each vessel during fog or restricted visibility will sound one long blast followed by two short blasts. Then we have the next card where we have a white over red light. Now as soon as you see a white over red light, that will tell you this is a pilot vessel. If it's a red over white light, that is a fishing vessel. So don't be confused. If you see white over the red light in a vertical line, that is a pilot vessel. If you see red over the white light, then it is a fishing vessel. Alright, so don't get confused. Red over green light was a sailing vessel. That was the first card. So these are little notes that you have to make probably, and make sure that you remember it. All these lights are also described in the rules of the road book. So this is a pilot vessel. What else can I make out? I can see two white lights other than the white over red light, right? So these two white lights, as I can see, that they are masthead lights. Alright, so they are masthead lights. So if there are two lights, definitely it's this vessel is 50 meters or more in length, but less than 100 meters, because you can see that this is the port aspect of the vessel. Now why is this the port aspect and all that, I will explain it to you. Now this vessel is 50 meters or more, and it is at anchor. Now why it is at anchor? As you can see that when it is at anchor, the forward masthead light is at a higher level than the aft masthead light. Also that this is the port aspect of the vessel. Alright, so if it was a vessel underway, you would see the masthead lights at a higher level than the white over red light. Then you would know that that vessel is underway. But when the masthead lights are, or rather the anchor lights are lower level than the white over red, then you know that this is a vessel at anchor, and it is a port aspect because when anchor lights are on, then the forward masthead light is at a higher level than the aft masthead light. Also it is less than 100 meters, because if it was more than 100 meters, then along with the anchor lights, the deck lights would also be on, and that would be displayed on the card as well. So these are the hints that we get from the card. Now as soon as I see this vessel, I will sound one short blast, alter course to starboard, past stern of it. And this vessel during the day will display in the forward part flag hotel, or other forward part it will display a ball because it is at anchor, and it will display flag hotel on the aft mast. It can, on the prominent mast, it will display flag hotel or flag H, because flag H indicates that this is a pilot vessel, you have a pilot on board, and this is as per the International Code of Signals. Now because this vessel is at anchor and it is less than 100 meters, during fog or restricted visibility, this vessel will only engage in rapid ringing of bell for 5 seconds, and additionally 4 short blasts may be sounded, because this is a pilot vessel. That is a special signal for the pilot vessel. Then we have the next vessel, which is again something very similar from what we have done before. So if you do practice a lot of these cards, then you get an idea of the other options which are there as well. For me, it doesn't come naturally to me. So whenever I see a red, white, red, all I see is a vessel restricted ability to maneuver. But as you practice the cards, which has been in the case this time, I also know that this could be a dredger without obstruction, which is less than 50 meters at anchor. Or this is a vessel restricted ability to maneuver, and because I see the white light at the bottom, I know that this is the stern view of the vessel. So this is a vessel that is making way but seen from a stern. Alright, so the more you practice, you also remember the other option that it could be, which is the dredger. When you see a vessel, one short blast, alter course to starboard, that is common sense. This vessel will display ball, diamond and ball in a vertical line to indicate that it is a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. And if she is at anchor, and if you remember that option, then she will also display a ball in the forward part. Now remember, when you are answering this card, if you have not mentioned about the other option where it is a dredger without obstruction, less than 50 meters at anchor, then don't mention about the anchor shape. Alright, but if one helps you to remember the other, then do mention it. So when you're mentioning the shapes, if by memory you remember that, oh, there was a ball also, so probably this is the other option, is that this vessel could be a dredger, then mention it. It's up to you. For me, I didn't remember the option so easily, so I would mention only what I see on the card. But the more you practice, it becomes part of your memorized answer, so you can then give that answer. And the fog signal of this vessel will also be 1 prolonged blast followed by 2 short blasts. Then the second last card that we have is again similar to the previous card, so I don't think I should waste too much time. It's again restricted ability to maneuver, or it is a dredger without obstruction, less than 50 meters at anchor. I promise you these are not the same cards. These are different cards, as you probably must have noticed from the positioning of the stern light. So basically they are different scenarios, but it helps you to practice these so that you don't get confused. So the more these you practice and the more wordings you read, and you also remember the other options, and helps you to answer it. So I don't want to waste too much effort on this card. I'll go to the last card. And finally we have the last card, which is red over white, which I told you before. If you see red over white, it's a fishing vessel. If it's a white over red, it's a pilot vessel, and if it's red over green, it's a trawler. So you have to remember, or sailing vessel, sorry. If you see green over white, it's a trawler. So you have to remember these lights. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to remember it, but you have to remember these lights and remember to distinguish it. So when you see red over white, it's a fishing vessel, which is other than a trawler. It's not a trawler, but it's a fishing vessel. And this is making way. We know it's making way because I can see the green starboard side light. So it means I'm seeing the starboard view of this vessel. And also there's another white light, which is not a masted light, but it is a, when we see fishing vessels and we see this additional white light, which is at a lower level than the red over white light, that tells us that this vessel is extending gear more than 150 meters. So that is what that white light signifies. When you see this vessel, you may sound 2 short blast and alter course to port. That is what the card recommends, because what they are saying is you are seeing the starboard aspect of this vessel, and it is your duty as a power driven vessel to keep clear of it. So when there's a crossing situation, this vessel will not be identified as a giveaway vessel, and although you will be the stand-on vessel in a power driven situation, here you have to keep clear of it so you can go to port. But for me, even if you say you will make a broad alteration to starboard, or go parallel with it, as a surveyor I'll be happy with it. But it's up to you what option you choose. But don't worry, both the answers will be correct in this case. You can also go to port because it is your duty as a power driven vessel to keep clear of it. So even if you go to port, that fishing vessel should not be confused. It should not be digging action ideally. All right, but even if you say it's starboard, that's fine as well. This vessel will show 2 cones with apexes together in a vertical line to indicate it's a fishing vessel, but it will also show a cone with apex upwards in direction of the gear, and this is the shape displayed by fishing vessels when they have the gear extending more than 150 meters in length. So the white light is replaced by the cone with its apex upwards in direction of the gear when it's day. At night you display the white light, during the day you display the cone with apex towards direction of gear. And finally, this vessel will also display, or rather sound, 1 prolonged blast followed by 2 short blasts during fog and restricted visibility. So guys, I hope this video was useful to you. Make sure you also watch the other 27 parts. The more you practice, the better you get at it. And this is one of the best ways for you to assess how much of the rules of the road you remember and what kind of action you'll be taking. Don't restrict your answers to what you see on the card. Sometimes you got to use your common sense. Sometimes if you don't want to alter course to port, you are uncomfortable with it, even though the card mentioned go to starboard, unless of course there is an obstruction to the starboard. So that was my recommendation. If I was a surveyor or examiner, I would not mind in these cases if you go to starboard, go parallel with it. Ships are anyway quite fast, faster than fishing vessels, so you can go parallel and then come back. But if you say go to port as well, that's fine as well. All right, so I won't repeat myself anymore. Good luck with your study, guys, and thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for your encouraging comments, and also thanks for your criticism. Helps me to improve the videos. Bye for now and good luck.